The Moti Group and amaBhungane are headed for a legal showdown. This is after the High Court ruling which overturned the gag order against the investigative journalism group over leaked documents that the publication received from a source, they say. Now, the Moti Group says it's now considering its legal options, including approaching the Constitutional Court. Let's speak now to the Moti Group founder, Zunaid Moti, who joins us via the virtual platform. Mr. Moti, thank you very much for your time. Let's just start the conversation there about why did you approach the court in this manner?
Hi, and good morning to all the listeners and yourself. Thank you for having me this morning. I'm here on behalf of my family giving our opinion, and on behalf of the Moti Group, because that's headed up by amaBhungane, as you well know. But let me get off to your question. Thank you for that question. The ex parte process is a legal process that's there to any person in law. We went, and I'm talking on behalf now of the events, they went to court, the Moti Group, they acquired the order in the normal course of an ex parte application. And the ex parte application was heard by a competent judge. Later on, as you correctly pointed out, another judge, his colleague, the deputy judge president, had a review of this particular event and decided to overturn it. So at this stage, we're in a position where the Constitutional Court is an option, SCA is an option. And I think a lot of South African corporates out there and a lot of businessmen like myself are eager to find out what happens when journalists like amaBhungane are allowed to steal or be complicit in theft and then utilize the information. Where does that leave our constitutional right of privacy and otherwise? And where's the rule of law?
Yeah. The obvious question now is there something that this company is trying to hide?
There's absolutely nothing wrong with the ex parte issue. And I'll explain to you why. They went to court on the basis that had they given these people further information of the fact that they had knowledge, had Moti Group given knowledge to these particular amaBhungane people, that they wanted the material back, that they in fact were knowledgeable that they were actually in possession of the material, which amaBhungane initially said they were not. They could have destroyed it, they could have given it to other people, etc. And that still applies. In the papers, if you read them carefully, you'll see it says that they are in control of the information, and at the same time they say they're not in control of the information, or they'll keep it safe. But the point is this, that nobody has the right to have personal documentation of myself, or my companies, or my family, or proprietary rights. I'll give you an example that I've been talking about for a long time. There's a proprietary of a certain technology called alumothermic, which I've mentioned before, which we spent maybe 2 billion or 3 billion on, and a factory has been produced in Zimbabwe. Now, that information is in possession of amaBhungane, and yesterday one of their representatives I heard on radio said, but we'll do nothing about it, we won't use it. But who are they to be in possession of sensitive stuff like that? We don't particularly care about what they write about Zimbabwe, or the alleged relationship in Zimbabwe, or the alleged relationship with people at Investec. There's nothing inappropriate. And until now, let me just put this on point to you. They've never shown any benefit that we've derived as a company or as a family or as a business from the Zimbabwean authorities that's been undue. And they've never shown any other benefit we've derived, for example, with the Investec group of companies. Right. We haven't actually derived any benefits. And unless you're able to do that or show some impropriety, you're wasting your time, are you not?
If the information that is in possession of amaBhungane is information that is not damaging to your organization, why would you fight so hard to have it back if there is nothing untoward?
The information that they purport to have about Zimbabwe or Investec, etc., we're not worried about anything to do with that. That's already been disseminated by the Sentry. Everything they wish to say has already been sent to the Sentry, and there's been no outcome, and we're not fearful of that in any way. We're not hiding anything, but at the same time, we're entitled to keep privilege our information of third parties, number one, to allow ourselves to, our proprietary to be protected insofar as our technology that's been on our server on various mining aspects, to allow our personal data, like our personal bank statements, like our personal settlements with various people, including previous divorces. It's easy to say there's nothing to hide, let them print what they would like. Can you just imagine if amaBhungane's server was downloaded by an employee and given and disseminated throughout South Africa. They talk about never able to operate outside confidentiality. So the confidentiality, I suppose, only applies to them. It must never apply to an individual or a corporate. Then the law then must allow people like amaBhungane to have access to all your information, every single thing, your ID document, and they give you undertakings, don't worry, we won't use it. That doesn't mean anything when they say to us they're not in control of the information and it's on a server overseas. And the point is this, that constitutionally I have a right, and so do you, and so does the balance of corporate South Africa. We have a huge amount of support from corporate South Africa, simply because it doesn't make sense that somebody else should be in possession of all your information and decide to do with it as they please.
You're saying that there is absolutely nothing untoward about how you have set up that factory, and if so, you perhaps need to declare it here and now. Are there any dodgy dealings between yourself and the Zimbabwean government?
Sure. Well, you know, it's better than that. I challenge them to produce a single document or not a document, but I challenge them to produce any undue benefit that I've derived in Zimbabwe at all. And until now, they haven't done that. Where have I received anything that I should have? But talk about public interest. Interestingly enough, these are people, amaBhungane, let's talk about them for a second, because I have no issue with the media. I think the media are doing a fantastic job in exposing corruption and doing a lot of benefit for the public in general. However, when you talk about people that are complicit in theft and people who have been exposed to protecting sexual predators, etc., I wonder to myself, who exactly are we talking about and what the motives are? You know, when we look at people themselves, why are we not having a good look at amaBhungane and asking ourselves those questions? Who are these people and how can they be allowed to protect sexual predators like their chairman, who has been protected by SAMSOL for a number of years, but nobody asks the questions, including yourselves? It's become a dead issue. So when it's public interest, it becomes a selective issue, doesn't it?
I asked you the question about whether there is anything that could be damaging to the reputation of your organization in your dealings with the Zimbabwean government. That's a simple question.
Well, they've already exposed whatever they've said is an exposure. I see nothing, no value in it. And I still challenge them to produce a shred of evidence to show that I've benefited, or this family has benefited in any undue way from Zimbabwe, from all of their friendships, as they put it, and relationship. So there you go. There's a challenge out for the sexual predator team out there. Let them go and see the amaBhunganes as to whether they would like to accept my challenge, and please proceed. And I think that when people compare us to the Guptas, the difference for us is that we've never bribed anybody to get favors out of them. So please, I challenge you to produce one initiative where we've received undue influence. And until now, it's just a lot of hogwash because you haven't been able to do that. Any of the media, including and especially amaBhungane.
Yeah. Final question to you, sir. It would seem that these documents are not going to come to you anytime soon. You had requested the court in the initial court ruling to say that within 48 hours that those documents must be handed back to you. So they remain in the hands of amaBhungane. What's your next course of action?
I think, you know, from a personal perspective, I'm going to let it play out now. I'm not going to give too much attention to these guys because I start looking at the integrity, the credibility of whom I'm dealing with. I'm not dealing with an institution that I can respect or that has earned my respect to deal with them in the way that they would like me to deal with them. I feel that let them print whatever is necessary, and to the extent necessary, we'll defend ourselves and the public will be the judge at the end of the day. I can't see where the public interest is in having my bank statements or having my technology being supplied to other competitors, etc. I think that amaBhungane have been used as a tool here. I don't know what the agenda is. I don't know who their finances are behind this particular initiative. I do know that they don't want to investigate any of their impropriety, and I'm a little bit disappointed in the way the media has handled how they've hidden this Mr. Kwape and the sexual harassment issue, because it involves young people, and it certainly involves young women, and it involves gender violence, etc. And I can't believe where we're at in South Africa at the moment, we allow people like that to get away with nonsense like this, as well as be complicit in theft. So those are my final comments, and I thank you very much for this interview.
All right. Zunaid Moti is the founder of the Moti Group. Thank you very much for your time.